I'm pretty excited to be here. I'm an urban designer. I'm a principal at O2 Planning Design, and I just left the TCAD steering committee because I moved to Calgary. So I'm happy to be back here and presenting this, or moderating this session on New York City. And I'm sure everybody's seen what's been going on in New York City in the last 10 years. It's going to be great to have these two presentations because we're going to see a little bit more about how they sell their complete streets and document, record them, and then drill down on how they get the pedestrian level implemented. And so we have Sean Quinn and HeidiWolf here. And HeidiWolf has over 7 years of experience in pedestrian planning in New York City. She's the Senior Project Manager in the Office of Bicycle and Pedestrian Projects at NYC Urban Transportation. She's implemented a dozen projects, including large-scale improvements at Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn, which I'm sure you've all seen. But she's speaking today about her role as a photography coordinator, where she's developed standards for official project imagery, OPI. I'm going to use that, OPI, which documents with before and after photos of built work to help sell future projects in New York City.
Hello, I'm HeidiWolf, and I'm thrilled to be in Toronto. I've been wanting to visit as a person for the last 5 years, so I'm so happy to be here, combining a visit and also professional growth. I have been working for the New York City Department of Transportation for 7 years as a designer, but in addition to that, I am the photography coordinator for all of traffic operations, So I'm here to talk to you about the power of images. And a few people have mentioned the spandex-clad cyclist, and I think a lot of people that aren't active transportation people think that that is the sum of cyclists and pedestrians. And we all know that that's not true. And photos are very important, and I think that you can change what people think by showing them different things. If they see something different, then they start to see a different reality. So photos can do many things. Photos show need. So in my capacity as a designer, maybe we go to a community board meeting, we say, people are having a hard time crossing the street here. Or I could just show a photo, and the photo makes the argument for me with a lot less words, and people can't fight a photo. They also show problems. This photo shows 2 streams of traffic that one's coming from the east and wants to go west, the other the reverse, and this is their point of conflict. They also show desire lines and a lack of facilities. They essentially document the existing conditions on the street, everything good and bad. And most importantly, they show what's possible on the streets, which is what we're all about. So, New York City has lots of uses for photos. We use them for press releases, when we want to promote a project. We use them when we get a request from a publication for a project we did 2 years ago. Another municipality asked for before or after photos. We use them in pretty much all of our community presentations. Sean Quinn used a lot of my photos in his presentation that you just saw. We put them on our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook account, and we also put them on our website. And I'm sure there's many more uses that I'm forgetting. So it all began in 2007 when we started a program that said we are going to photograph every street improvement project before and after conditions. So we took a variety of photos from different angles, and then we followed that up and we took all of the same photos from the exact same location, exact angles. And having an exact match is really important. Cropping is also very important. I've seen a lot of photos in other people's presentations, and although they're really good, I would tell them crop out 20% of the ground and 20% of the sky so you really see who you're doing this project for. So in this example, I cropped it a lot, and I also made sure that I lined it up perfectly. I often use the buildings as guides, and you can see the lines there. So after photos can show an improvement, but having people in the photo shows the value of the amenity. So if you're making a case to build something and then you show a photo with nobody in it using it, your critics can say, who'd you build that for? So you always have to have people in it. The more the better. And if they're looking like they're having a good time, that's even better. Everybody does a little bit of photo editing, and municipalities should do the bare minimum of that as well. We clean up our photos, we get rid of the trash, we do some color editing. There are bad photos. The photo on the left is what I was talking about, cropping. There's a cyclist there. I'm not sure if you guys can see it in the back of the room. But one, if I was the photographer, I would have waited for the cyclist to get just in front of the Cheryl that's in the foreground. In the case that can't happen, I would at least crop out all that foreground so that person is the focus of the photo. The photo to the right was when Obama came to town. So we don't want to show photos that look like we cause congestion with a project. So both of these are examples of what you would not want to use. So taking the photos is the fun part. It's the organization and the structure that really creates a successful system. So we call it OPI, it stands for Official Project Imagery. And we divide it by year. And within the year, we divide it by working folders or working files and complete. Complete means it has my sign off and the boss upstairs sign off. Working means it's still active. And we do this so if anybody wants to share it, they can give out anything that's in the complete folder. It has everybody's blessing, so you don't have to ask for permission. Within each project, we have the JPEGs themselves, we have individual PowerPoints, and we have PDFs of the PowerPoint. We make two sorts of PowerPoints. One are animated, and I'll show you an example of that. So the before photo is there, the after photo fades into that, and then what we call a gallery. A gallery is just a still set with the before and the after side by side, or actually juxtaposition. So nobody wants to maintain a database, but it is really important because if not, nobody knows where it is, and then they end up using a photo that maybe they're not thinking that all that car traffic looks bad, and once they put it out, it's hard to get back. We ask them what we call best photos because sometimes you're not going to know that you're going to have this perfect angle or shot until after the project is complete and has been built. So if you have something like this, then you can just throw it in as a little bit of an extra. Aerial photos, we have realized over the years, provide like a new, powerful perspective. This set was taken in 2007, and it was taken from the Manhattan Bridge. And you can see that you have a view that you wouldn't have on the ground, and it's much more dynamic and impressive. Unfortunately, there wasn't always a bridge nearby, and I explored a variety of options to get some height. This was my least favorite one. That's why I ended it. Sometimes we could sneak into a store. In New York, we have that advantage. There's an Apple store. This is 9th and 14th Street. Again, a project that we did in 2007. And I was able to get up onto their second floor store and take the photo from there. This was taken from a residential building in the Bronx. The project manager was able to get up there, the super let them in. So she said, just go to the top of the stairs, you just push through the door. So I went to take the after, push through the door, the alarms blaring, and it was a very scary experience. And actually, I think Sean might be on the ground in this photo, unaware that I was having that difficulty. I got the photo, but I did not want to repeat that experience. This transform set, Sean showed you before and after as well, I took from the Flatiron building. But taking photos from buildings can be limited too because the glass can be a bit dirty. So although this set turned out well, we kept searching for a better option. And then we finally landed on bucket trucks. And I've seen, Toronto has bucket trucks because I have seen them on the streets. But we use them to hang signs. Our borough engineering, they hang all the signs and lights. We made friends and they would give us a truck, you know, on an occasion. More once they realized that the bosses really like these photos. Still, it can be a little bit difficult because it is in addition to the regular work. But it was a game changer. So Times Square was the first project that we got before-after photos using the bucket. This is an example of a transformed PowerPoint because it fades into itself. And once we did this, it became the standard. In fact, sometimes people don't even, I have to force people to take ground photos in addition because they're so focused on how much better aerials are. And I would say, for those of you who would think about doing a similar system, I think aerial photos are better 80% of the time, but sometimes the ground view is essential, and really you should do both. But the benefit of this is it clearly shows the benefit to pedestrians, and it shows how pedestrians took over that space, and the cars look fine still going through. Transform sets are essential because they are easier to understand than plans. So the upper left shows an existing street, 3 lanes in each direction. This is essentially a 6-to-5 conversion where we brought it down to 2 through lanes with left turning bays. So as professionals and engineers and planners, we read these plans, but community sees photos so much better, and it's just as clear for everyone. So this is the same thing, just from a bucket. They also serve to remind people of before conditions. So sometimes even after a project is done, people will focus on, well, I lost my parking spot, or I can't make a right here anymore. And while that may be true, the after condition usually is better than the before. And if you have a good before photo showing this man in a wheelchair struggling to cross the street, it's a little bit harder for that person's argument to drown out the benefit that the project produced. They clearly communicated change and benefit. This is Granary Plaza, which is the project that I am most proud of, and we kept all the capacity for vehicles, but we managed to create a 2-way bike path and better crossing conditions for pedestrians, and improve the vehicle flow as well. Photos graphically show that these can be complete streets with space for all users. So I don't even remember which avenue this is because we've done it on so many avenues, but the photo on the left shows the chaos that was the street before, with just lanes and no clear delineation of space for the different users. And the photo on the bottom shows the bike lane, the pedestrian islands that shorten the crossing for pedestrians, and the vehicles with their appropriate space as well. Photos also raise awareness. This is a photo, just a screenshot of a blog, but the New York Times has used our photos. We see them, I see them everywhere. They also inspire other cities. So the photo on the top left is a project we did in Midtown. On the photo, the bottom right is Buenos Aires using almost the exact same toolkit. Excuse me. And lastly, photos remind people of the importance of design. So we've been exploring trying to get a drone. It's a big topic right now. It was actually, there's an article about it in New York Magazine that I'm only halfway through. I've been gunning for one for almost a year. The lawyers keep saying no, but I really think it's going to happen. Who does it first? I don't know. Maybe Toronto or some other city. So this was actually taken from like the 20th story of a building. It wasn't taken with a drone. But I do think that they would be very helpful because sometimes we tighten up an intersection so much that in the after condition I can barely find a place to put my huge bucket truck to take the after photo to match the before, and a drone would eliminate that problem. So just to run down the list of the essential components is Good file organization and structure. You want a high-resolution camera. You want an SLR, no digicams. You should photograph all the projects, not just your favorite ones. And you have to be very thoughtful when taking before photos, because you cannot take a before photo after the project is done. And you have to be consistent with the photo editing and cropping. And most importantly, you have to feature people, not just the amenity, because the work is for the people. And sometimes people forget that. Here's just an example of one of the ways that we use photos over and over and over again. We pretty much don't do a presentation without photos. There's 75% of it. People like to look at photos. That's it.